You check your phone 47 times before lunch, not because anything happened, because nothing did. Silence for 10 seconds feels unbearable. A red light feels too long. An empty room feels like a threat. You assume that feeling is human nature, something wired into every person who has ever lived. But the real answer is far stranger. Scientists now believe boredom, the exact feeling you just felt reading this sentence, might not have existed for most of human history at all. Not because life was more exciting, because the human brain wasn't built to feel it. So what changed? And what did your ancestors do with all that silence, if not fill it? Start with the obvious assumption. Life before agriculture looked hard. Constant hunting, constant searching. No time to rest, let alone feel bored. That was the story anthropologists told for decades. Then, in 1966, an anthropologist named Marshall Salins stood up and said the opposite. He called it the original affluent society. Not affluent in wealth, affluent in time. Salins studied hunter-gatherer groups and found something nobody expected. Many worked only 3 to 5 hours a day to meet their needs. Food, shelter, rest. Handled quickly. The remaining hours belonged to something else entirely. Talking, resting, playing, sitting with each other, doing what looked, on the surface, like nothing at all. Here's where it gets strange. That nothing wasn't boredom, it was presence. Your brain today treats stillness like a problem to solve, a gap that needs filling. Scroll, tap, check, repeat. But for early humans, stillness wasn't a gap. It was the default state of being alive. There was no separate category called downtime because there was no separate category called productive time to escape from. Think about what that means. You live inside a system that divides your day into work and reward, effort and escape. Ancient humans didn't carry that division in their heads. The hours weren't empty, they were simply unstructured. And unstructured time wasn't something the brain needed to fight, but does that mean they never felt anything like boredom at all? This is where a modern researcher enters the story. John Eastwood, a psychologist at York University, has spent years studying what boredom actually is. His definition is precise. Boredom is the uncomfortable feeling of wanting to engage with something, but being unable to find that engagement. Not a lack of things to do, a failure of attention to latch onto anything. That distinction matters enormously. Early humans were rarely disengaged from their environment. Every sound in the grass mattered. Every shift in weather mattered. Every face across the fire mattered. Their attention had nowhere to wander because the world constantly demanded it. Danger, food, weather, each other. The mind stayed hooked into its surroundings almost by necessity. You, on the other hand, live in a world engineered to remove that friction. Food arrives without tracking it. Shelter requires no vigilance. Danger rarely announces itself. Your ancestors' minds were built for a world saturated with stimulation. Yours hands you a world with the stimulation stripped out, then wonders why you reach for a screen every 4 minutes. So in a sense, boredom isn't a flaw in your brain, it's a mismatch, a signal built for one environment, misfiring in another. There's a study that makes this uncomfortably clear. In 2014, a psychologist named Timothy Wilson ran an experiment at the University of Virginia. He placed people alone in a room with nothing to do but sit with their thoughts. No phone, no music, just stillness. Many participants found it so unbearable that, given the option, they chose to give themselves mild electric shocks rather than sit quietly with nothing happening. People opted for pain over unstructured stillness. Now hold that next to Salin's hunter-gatherers, sitting together for hours by modern standards, nothing to do. No screens, no shocks, no panic. What was different? The answer isn't willpower, it's connection. Ancient stillness was almost never solitary. It happened around people, near fire, inside conversation, embedded in a social world that never fully switched off. The silence wasn't empty, it was shared. Modern boredom, by contrast, usually strikes you alone, staring at a wall or a feed, disconnected from the presence of anyone else. That's the twist hiding underneath this whole story. Boredom may not be a natural human state at all. It may be what happens when stimulation drops and connection drops with it, at the same time, in a world your brain never evolved to expect. Which raises an uncomfortable modern mirror. You have more entertainment available in your pocket than any human in history. Endless video, endless scrolling, endless novelty, engineered specifically to grab attention, and yet boredom, by nearly every measure, has grown more common, not less. Anthropologist James Woodburn, who studied the Hadza people of Tanzania, described their daily rhythm as marked by long stretches of shared idleness, unhurried and untroubled, no one filming it, no one narrating it, just presence, held loosely, together. You don't live in that world anymore, but your nervous system still remembers it. Every time silence feels unbearable, every time your hand reaches for your phone in an elevator, every time a quiet afternoon feels like something to escape rather than something to inhabit, you're watching an ancient mind try to function inside an environment it was never designed for. So no, ancient humans probably weren't bored the way you are. Not because their lives were more exciting, because their stillness was rarely alone, and their attention was rarely starved. Maybe the real question was never whether they got bored. Maybe it's why you do. Tonight, when that itch creeps in again, when the silence starts to feel unbearable and your hand drifts toward your phone, pause before you reach for it. That itch isn't a flaw. It's an old signal, misfiring in a new world. Maybe the fix was never a new app or a longer scroll. Maybe it was just someone sitting beside you saying nothing at all.